Arcadia Kills wasn't a household name, but if you dipped into the grimmiest corners of Twitch around 2 or 3 a.m., you'd probably seen him. Mid-tier streamer, silver ranked in League of Legends, but platinum in pure, unfiltered rage. He thrived off chaos, screaming fits, breakdowns, and toxic in-game tirades. His fans didn't come for the gameplay. They came for the spectacle, for the way his webcam would shake when he punched his desk, for the venom he spit when things didn't go his way. Most assumed it was all an act. That was until one night in October 2020, during a stream that's since become urban legend. The night started normally. Arcadia's dark room lit only by a dull red LED strip behind his monitor. His camera showed just enough of his gaunt, twitchy face to remind viewers of a man teetering between obsession and madness. Energy drink cans were stacked behind him like trophies of sleepless nights. He was queuing solo, angry already, muttering about feeders and inting ADCs. Then came the moment. In his chat, a longtime mod known only as Sweet Zero made a joke. Something like, "Maybe if you ganked once, you wouldn't be 0 out of 5. The chat erupted with laughing emojis. But Arcadia froze. His face went slack for just a second, almost too long. Then, with a twitch of the eye and an unnatural calm, he leaned toward the camera and said, "I'm going to kill you IRL." It wasn't screamed. It wasn't dramatic. It was cold, deliberate, like a vow. The laughter in chat slowed. A few people typed, "Yo chill lol." Most figured it was rage bait, just Arcadia losing it again. But the stream kept going. His camera stayed on. His gameplay erratic. He kept mumbling strange things. "Should have watched your back. Mods think they're safe." He wasn't talking to the game anymore. The stream cut off suddenly at 3:17 a.m. The next morning, Sweet Zero, real name Eli B. Kaufman, age 26, was found dead in his downtown Baltimore apartment. His front door was unlocked. There were no signs of forced entry. He'd been stabbed 13 times, the wounds erratic, like someone had lost control. On his desk, his laptop was still open, still logged into Twitch. His screen was frozen, mid-frame on Arcadia Kills' distorted, screaming face. Mouth open, eyes wild, like a man mid-exorcism. Twitch moderators pulled the VOD before noon. It was never archived. Clips of it vanished almost instantly, scrubbed by automated systems. Reddit threads were locked. The only surviving images are blurred screenshots and the warped memories of the few dozen who were watching live. That same day, Arcadia Kills was arrested at his apartment. He didn't resist, didn't speak. But as they were taking him out, someone across the hall filmed him being escorted into the elevator. When asked why he did it, he smiled, not wide, but just enough, and muttered into the camera. He shouldn't have DC'd. He was banned from Twitch permanently. Every social media account linked to him was deactivated within hours. Rumors swirled that he was declared mentally unfit to stand trial. Others say he never made it to court at all, that he disappeared somewhere between custody and confinement. To this day, no one knows why Eli was targeted. They'd modded for Arcadia's for years. Some think the joke in chat was just the final snap in a long-brewing madness. Others believe Arcadia Kills had planned it, hunted down his mod's address, driven hours in the middle of the night, murdered him, and then streamed like nothing had happened. But the most chilling part, on random Twitch channels once in a while, at odd hours, a viewer named Sweet Zero still appears in chat. He never types, he just watches. It was just past 11 p.m. on a rainy October night in a quiet suburb outside Portland, Oregon, when a 911 dispatch center received an unusual call. The line was open, but there was no voice greeting the dispatcher. Instead, there were frantic whispers, barely audible, like someone speaking through clenched teeth. And then a raspy voice, trembling and wet with panic, whispered, "Help! Please, someone's in the house." The dispatcher repeated her request for the caller to identify themselves, but all she got in return was a muffled sob, and then silence. Before the line went dead, there was a peculiar detail. The call originated from a wireless gaming headset, one synced to an Xbox console. Authorities were able to trace the signal to a modest two-story home in a suburban cul-de-sac. From the outside, everything looked normal. No signs of forced entry, no lights on, no movement inside. When officers arrived and knocked on the door, there was no answer. But the front door was unlocked. Inside, the house was dark, eerily so. The air was stale, and the only light came from the flickering glow of a TV screen in the living room. The Xbox console was still on, humming softly, and the game Call of Duty: Modern Warfare sat idle on the screen. It wasn't a menu or matchmaking screen. It was mid-lobby. Someone had just been playing. But the room was empty. The controller rested on the carpet, like it had been dropped in a hurry. A half-full energy drink was sweating on the coffee table. A chair was overturned, but there was no sign of the 23-year-old male who lived in the house, whose name has not been officially released by authorities. Police began a sweep of the home, but there were no signs of a break-in, no struggle, only a strange electric tension in the air, like something had just happened. Something wrong, something unseen. When investigators accessed the console, they made a chilling discovery. The players' custom loadout classes, normally named things like AR build or sniper set, had been renamed. Each class had a new label. They read, "Help can't breathe below dig." Authorities assumed the messages had been typed in by the missing man, some desperate attempt to communicate through the game itself. But there was no timestamp on when the edits were made. The next morning, detectives and cadaver dogs returned to the property for a full forensic search. At approximately 7:46 a.m., officers found a freshly disturbed patch of soil behind the garage. A shallow grave had been dug beneath a moss-covered doghouse. But when they opened it, they didn't find a body. What they found instead chilled everyone to the bone. The missing wireless headset, half buried and coated in soil, and a USB flash drive wrapped in duct tape. Inside the house, the drive was plugged into a forensic computer. It contained only a single file, a screen-recorded clip from an Xbox gameplay session. The video began like any other, game footage of Call of Duty with a soldier sprinting through a ruined cityscape. But within seconds, things began to glitch. The environment flickered, walls warped unnaturally. The player's gun vanished. The HUD distorted, and audio of gunfire was replaced with what sounded like labored breathing, growing louder and more desperate. Then, a man's voice screamed, "He's under the house! Oh God, it's pulling me! No, no, no!" The screen began to pixelate violently. Then it cut to black. Only one frame remained at the end of the video. A single image, distorted but still legible. It was a static-covered map from the game, but it had been altered. A red dot pulsed where no objective should be, accompanied by handwritten text scrawled across the center. "I never logged out." To this day, the case remains unsolved. No fingerprints, no signs of foul play. Just a missing man, a corrupted video, and a game that still shows his profile as online. Sometimes, late at night, random players have reported hearing strange noises in the Call of Duty voice chat. Guttural breathing, pleas for help. One player swears they heard someone whisper through the static, "Please, dig." Back in 2013, a relatively small but dedicated Minecraft YouTuber, let's call him Jay, had been steadily gaining a following for his peaceful solo survival series. No mods, no multiplayer, just him, the world, and the occasional light-hearted commentary over hours of resource gathering, base building, and exploration. It was the calm kind of content people liked falling asleep to. but longtime viewers started noticing something off. It began subtly. Jay would log into his world to find things he didn't remember changing, chests left open, torches in places he swore were pitch dark. One episode, he found a pressure plate inside his base, right where it could have triggered a trap. Except he never placed it. Then came the redstone tunnel. Jay had been mining, narrating casually as always, when he broke into a long, perfectly carved corridor, at least 20 blocks deep, lit only by redstone torches lining the walls. Silent, blood-red glow. Uniform. He paused in-game and in-voice. "I definitely didn't build this," he murmured. Then he chuckled it off. "Maybe I'm losing it. Or maybe Minecraft's haunted." The laugh didn't quite reach his voice. That night, Jay went back through the raw recording. He watched as his character approached the tunnel, but it wasn't the corridor that stood out. In a few frames, just barely visible in the dark, high on a cliff behind him, there was a figure, human in shape, but lacking any detail. No skin, no name tag, no movement, just there, watching. Jay slowed the footage, zoomed in. The figure never blinked, never budged. Just a blank-faced sentinel gazing from the shadows. He chalked it up to a rendering bug. Maybe a corrupted texture or a weird glitch from a previous mod he'd uninstalled. But over the next few weeks, viewers started commenting. Rewatching episode 24, look behind the lava fall at 1703. Something's there. Why is there a player standing in the snow biome in episode 27? You didn't see him. Who the hell is in your hardcore world at 1344? Jay denied it every time. "It's a lighting bug," he told one concerned fan. "Just shadows or a glitched mob render." But the sightings grew across multiple videos, multiple worlds. One night he tried to recreate it. Loaded the same world, same spot, same lighting, no figure. Until he turned around. And for a single frame just before the game crashed, he saw it, the skinless player model standing in the doorway of his base. From there, things spiraled. Jay's upload slowed. He became erratic, less commentary, more silence. His thumbnails went from colorful to grayscale. His once cozy builds became darker, cluttered with obsidian and symbols in red stone. Fans began documenting the sightings, forming a subreddit called The Watcher Returns. Some thought it was a brilliant ARG. Others thought it was a hack. But then, the stories spread. Other YouTubers started seeing it too. First in old footage, then in live streams, in different servers, vanilla worlds, even realms. Always the same figure, no name tag, no skin, no movement, just watching. Some began calling it the Watcher. Then, in late 2015, Jay vanished. No final post, no goodbye tweet, no community update. His Discord server went dark. His last upload, dated 2 days after his disappearance, sent chills through the community. It was titled simply, "I See You." The thumbnail was static. The video was 12 minutes of near silence, broken only by distorted audio, what sounded like garbled whispering, layered over C418's Sweden, the most iconic and peaceful Minecraft song. If you listened closely, buried beneath the music, you could hear it, screaming, not loud, not overt, but constant, like someone, somewhere, was trapped and trying to get out. The final seconds were the most disturbing, a single frame of Jay's Minecraft character staring directly into the camera. Behind him, barely visible through the fog, stood the Watcher. The channel has remained untouched since. Mojang never commented. YouTube never took the video down. And despite dozens of FOIA requests and online sleuths trying to trace Jay's real identity, nothing ever came up. But every now and then, someone claims to find a strange corridor in their survival world, perfectly carved, lined with redstone torches. Some say if you wait there long enough, you won't be alone. and in the silence, behind you, something will be watching. Back when internet speeds were measured in kilobytes and CRT monitors flickered like dying stars, EverQuest was the gateway drug to digital escapism. For many, it was just a game, but for some, it became something else. Bradley Mercer, a 21-year-old computer science major at a university in Illinois, was a quiet student, not exactly a recluse, but not quite social either. A little awkward, polite, the kind of guy who'd let his hair grow out too long and skip meals to finish coding assignments, or, more often, to grind XP in EverQuest. His friends called him EQ Brad. He embraced it. Brad had been playing EverQuest obsessively since early 2000, logging up to 18 hours a day during weekends. Sleep, class, and hygiene slowly took a back seat. What concerned his roommates the most wasn't just the amount of time he spent in-game, but how he had started to change. He talked less, smiled never. His room grew messier, darker. The blinds were always shut tight, even during the day. They'd sometimes hear him whispering into his headset at night, not talking to players, just whispering. And once, during a late-night dorm party, a roommate swore he saw Brad talking to his monitor in a hushed voice. She was at the gate again, watching. I didn't go near this time. When questioned, Brad brushed it off. It's just lore, he said, part of a secret quest line. But none of them ever found anything like that online or in the forums. The disappearance. On a Thursday night in late October 2002, it had rained hard across campus. Cold autumn rain. Brad had been in his room for most of the day, logged into EverQuest, character name Cavern, a level 54 necromancer. Roommates occasionally peeked in to say hi, offer food. He declined. He was in the zone, as he always said. Around 2:40 a.m., one of them heard Brad push his chair back suddenly. Heavy footsteps, then silence. They assumed he was headed to the bathroom or vending machine, but he never came back. The next morning, his door was slightly ajar. His EverQuest character was still online, standing motionless in the city of Freeport, a popular in-game hub. His headset dangled from the chair. The screen glowed faintly in the still, dark room. Music played on loop, ambient, synthetic, eerie. And then they checked the chat log. At 2:39 a.m., moments before he left his room, Brad typed something into the global chat window, not to anyone specific. Just a message, one that sent chills down every investigator's spine. She's outside my window. She says she's part of the game now. Authorities were called. No signs of forced entry, no struggle. His wallet, phone, jacket, all still in the room. But Brad was gone, like he'd simply walked off the face of the earth. The police conducted searches through nearby woods, the lake, and even interviewed local bus and train stations. Nothing. No sightings. No camera footage. His dorm keycard hadn't been used anywhere else on campus after that moment. The woman in white. His roommates, growing increasingly distraught, confessed something else. For weeks, Brad had been talking about a woman in white, a non-playable character, as he called her, who wasn't listed in any of the game's wikis or databases. She doesn't talk like the others, he once told a friend. She knows I'm looking at her. She waits for me at the edge of zones. At first, they assumed he was hallucinating due to sleep deprivation, but he insisted she was real. He even attempted to take screenshots, but none of them ever showed anything unusual. Just pixelated forests, empty ruins, or the Freeport gates. One roommate recalled Brad mentioning a dream where he woke up inside the game, paralyzed. The woman in white stood over him, face obscured by hair, whispering something unintelligible. Every time he tried to wake, she would lean closer. She says I'll join her soon, he said once, almost in a trance. The game never logged out. Brad's character remained online for nearly 2.5 days, idle in Freeport, until EverQuest's servers automatically booted inactive players. But during that time, something else was noticed by others in the game. Several players reported seeing a new NPC walking near the Freeport fountain. A tall woman in a white tattered gown, her face hidden. She never spoke, never moved from her spot, but if you lingered too long near her, the game would crash. Some players reported hearing whispering through their speakers before disconnecting. When users tried to post screenshots of her online, their files would become corrupted. Sony Online Entertainment never officially acknowledged her existence. The aftermath, Bradley Mercer was never found. Declared missing in early 2003, his parents eventually shut down his EverQuest account, and his dorm room was emptied and reassigned the following semester. But for a time, on some forgotten server shards, players whispered about the woman in white, the ghost in Freeport, a glitch, they said, a hoax, maybe an urban legend created by grief-stricken friends. Yet even years later, a few old EverQuest veterans still claim, on stormy nights when the servers glitch just right, you can find her standing by the gate, and if you listen closely, you might hear her whisper, "I'm part of the game now, so are you."